Okay, guys, today we're going to be working and talking about medieval French literature. In the last classes, well, before quarantine times, we were talking about medieval literature, but today we're going to start looking out in French. How does French literature get started in medieval times? I will ask to Andrea Orellana, do you remember something about what group of literature or what type of literature we were seeing on the classes before? Do you remember at least at what language we were studying?
I only know that in medieval they were inspired in the classic
They were
literature.
inspired in the classic. Somebody else? I'm thinking, well, Nadia, Madison,
It
Macy.
was it was didactic too.
Also, what else? Diana?
Really?
That everything about literature was based in the religion.
Was based in religion. Good point. What else? What else, guys? Somebody else? Somebody else?
The classic thoughts.
Classic were the
Classic
Greek
thoughts.
were the Greek and the Roman.
Exactly. They were based on Greek and Roman thoughts. So obviously we haven't changed still a lot. Do you remember the last type of literature that we were looking was the Celtic literature? Remember, Celtic talks about what kind of stuff? Do you remember the video that we saw in the class about what are their center topics? About what type of adventures? About dragons and knights and all that kind of stuff. Remember about the King Arthur. All of that type of literature were based in that times. So we're gonna start with medieval literature. Medieval literature begins since the 11th century to the 15th century. In this period of time, guys, in this period of time, you're gonna see all this type of literature flowing into different ways. The first thing that we must know is that it's considered by this man that you see here, Charles Homer Haskins, this writer and also historiographer. This man that I'm underlining here termed, it means that he named this period of time in France as the Renaissance. Remember, the Renaissance was not in this period of time, but it's called like this. It's called Charles Homer Haskins term it this way, Renaissance. Why the Renaissance? What means Renaissance? Nadia, what means?
New words of arts.
Marcela, what means Renaissance?
I was going to tell the same.
Okay. So the Renaissance is when a literature gets more power and encourage different ways to say literature. So in this time, guys, the cultural and also the literary stuff gets with power. That means that it stands for these times as one of the most important literature. So France is why is important France in our literature right nowadays? Because they start with a different type of genres, and we're gonna see it right now. In this time, writers were basically jongleurs or jugglers. This is in French, before it's in French, but the name in English are jugglers. Jugglers are like the type of men that are in the streets singing by orally, singing different types of stories, or like the storyteller. So a juggler, are type of literature poets. Well, they are not considered poets, but they are basically the ones that entertain the people in that times. Remember, in that time, they were not having computers, they were not having Netflix. So, in what the things that they get entertained was that someone that knows a lot of stories of adventure, of different might, so they start telling in the streets to the different people that meet in that place. Also, guys, something that you must know is that the clerics, who know who are the clerics? Well, maybe Catholics know who are the clerics. You know who are the clerics?
Yes.
Who are the clerics, Nadia?
Is that are the ones that may, how you say, misa? Receive misa? How you say?
The ceremony, the baptism ceremony.
Yes, are the ones that to for being that they have to study like theology, and they cannot be married
Okay.
if they are clerks.
Exactly. They must have abstinence. They must be in abstinence. So remember, guys, clerics are like a part of the Catholic Church, and they are like the ones that are directing all that type of ceremonies in the church. So in this time, remember, we are talking about medieval literature. What does that mean? That in medieval literature, they are based in what? In
Religion.
Exactly, in religion. So who are the ones that will write? The ones that study. Remember that in this time, it's not like today that everybody can read a book. In that times, only selected people can read a book. So in this case, the ones of the church are privileges, and they can be studying leadership. Do you understand this part? The jugglers are the ones that entertain in the streets. They are like the ones that stands in the street and starts telling aloud all the histories that they remember, and they start telling aloud all the type of adventures of the Greeks and Romans. Why? Because they are based in the classics. Remember. So they start talking. They start narrating the Odyssey, the Iliad, the adventures of dragons and knights, and all that kind of thing. So that are the clerics and the jugglers. And the troubadours are the ones that are considered poets. These type of men, the troubadours, were basically the ones that compose the literature in that time. So what is the main difference, guys, between juggler, cleric, and troubadour? The jugglers were like vulgar. They were not having a specific knowledge about literature. They were just entertainers. Clerics, they were studied in literature and also in Bible. They were like the ones that have the money and the power in the time. And the troubadours were the ones that write. They were the poets. So I will ask Casey, can you explain me who are the jugglers, please? Who are the jugglers? When you understood about the jugglers?
The ones who entertain the people, the entertainment.
The entertainers, yes. Can they be considered Guineas? Can they be considered as poets? Jugglers can be considered as poets?
Yes, can be because, as you say, they tell stories about they.
But they have the same level of comparison between a cleric and a troubadour?
No.
No. Let me see. Jensen, who is a cleric? Who is a cleric? I'm not listening. Who is a cleric, Jensen? Unmute yourself. Yes, Jensen, who is a cleric?
Is that
Is someone somebody that helps Jensen?
They have a deep study of theology, power too.
Exactly. So they are like the leaders of the church, part of the leader or the autocracy of the church, the Catholic Church. So they are well being studied in literature, obviously, because they have monasteries. In the monasteries, there were all the books. So the bibliography was in their power, so they can read about whatever they wanted to. And who is a troubadour? Marcela, who is a troubadour?
The trovadors are the poet, the person who tells poems, and they have a pretty, how can I say, knowledge about the Bible, about the religion. Sorry.
Yes, about religion. Obviously, all these type of poets knows about religion because they were based in religion. But the troubadour, in simple words, like for you to understand it, and if I put it in an exam, you can answer it, is the composer of all the written works. Simple as that. They are the composers. So, who tells the poems of the troubadours? Who tell it in the streets?
The jugglers.
The jugglers. So the jugglers tells what the troubadour wrote. And who are the ones that patronize? Do you know what means patronize? No? No, okay, patronize means sponsor. Do you know who sponsored these troubadours? Well, the clerks, because they have money and power, they patronize or support or sponsor these poets to what? Well, to write. They allow them to be in their homes, in the churches, in their monasteries, in the courts, for the troubadours to write. They pay to the troubadours to write. So the clerks were a lot of importance in this time. Why? Because they were like the ones that made the financing of the troubadours to write. Another point that I have here, guys, the old language or the old way to write for them was the Provençal. This is something important. The Provençal, guys, was the language in which they were writing. This was not English, it was not the French that we know or the one that we learned. It's another type of language. As the same English that we're suffering transformations, French also suffers transformation. So if I ask you, which is the language, okay, Nadia, in a moment, which is the language that they made all the written works in the medieval French literature will be Provençal. Okay, that is the name of that language, Provençal. It's a type of form in which the last French or the past French was written before the one that we know. Yes, Nadia?
Like Latin, that it has the medieval.
Exactly. So from the Provençal, that was a language, a known language, comes the ones that we know, Italian, French, and some of the other languages that we know nowadays. So Provençal was like a dialect, a different way to talk about the French side. Okay, it's not the French that we know nowadays. So another time, the Provençal was the main language in medieval French literature. Is that clear? Yes? Yes, right? You have a question, you may ask, guys. No questions, Nicole, Madison, no? Okay. I'm gonna continue. Guys, do you know that I know who's making that, right? Please erase. If you don't want me to take out your points, please erase that. A juggler, the difference, I already explained you what is the main difference between a juggler and a troubadour. Guys, please erase that. Thank you. A juggler was considered Madison. How was considered a juggler? You cannot hear yourself. How was considered a juggler?
As an entertainer and not a poet.
Exactly, not a strictly poet. Andrea, why do you think he was not considered as a poet as the word says. Why do you think is the reason that they were not able to be noted as as a poet?
I think that because one, they don't have like the study, and two, they don't have the patrons, like the power of the clerks to write that poems or something literature. And because I think that they were only for saying, not writing, because they're entertainers. So they just say to the people, they just say it loud, and they don't write what they know.
Exactly. It's strictly that. So we can say that a juggler is like somebody that tells a story from somebody else. He doesn't write anything. The troubadours, as the second point says, were patronized. What means patronize, Julia? What do I explain that was the meaning of patronize?
What, mister?
What is the meaning of patronize? That I explained it, that they were patronized. Another word to say that?
Pattern.
You patronize, yes. The troubadours were patronized by the nobles in the French court. What does that mean? Somebody else? Yes,
Like to support?
To support, exactly. To sponsor. They were sponsored. Thank you. They were sponsored by who are the nobles in the medieval time, guys? You know who are the nobles? Yes, right? Are the social class that were like in the high position. They were the ones that have money. So they, the troubadours were living with the clerks in the courts and also in the monasteries and the churches. And the last thing that we're gonna read today is that the main theme in the troubadours, guys, was the lyrical law. This was the main theme, the lyrical law. So in all these works that we're gonna study, you will see that the main topic is love. So, and also adventure. As I was talking to you, they wrote about what civilizations, two civilizations. Can someone tell me what are the two civilizations that they were based on, all their writings?
Greeks and Romans.
Greeks and Romans, exactly. And also, they were talking about the new ones. Okay, guys, so today, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Today, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna write in these minutes that are left, you're gonna write your opinion, like a brief essay, right now in your own words, You're gonna resume what I explained. Number one, put it on your notebook, things that you have to mention in your summary or your analysis, or you want to talk. Okay, number one, you must mention difference between jugglers, clerks, and troubadours. That's the first thing. Difference between jugglers, clerks. No, these are the things that you must mention in the summary. Difference between jugglers, clerks, troubadours. And number two, why troubadours are considered poets. And that's it. So you're gonna make a summary in this moment.
Consider what, mister?
Why troubadours are considered poets.
Poets.
Yes, poets.
Troubadours, like that.
Troubadours. I will put it.
Right.
another here, look. Here, troubadour. Troubadours. Difference between jugglers, clerics, and troubadours. Do you have the two questions or the two statements? Yes, right?
That.
Okay, you will answer it right now in your own words, okay? In your own words.